Pop Buchanan.
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
We're great. How are you doing, my friend? You are a
Um,
lyricist, a motivational speaker, and the host of the Sober is Dope podcast.
yes, sir. Absolutely, and I'm doing great today. God is good.
Good, good. And I just want to throw out real quick. I found your show on the Good Pods app, which I feel is a great way to connect with other podcasters and fans.
Absolutely, Good Pods is really cool. The people over there are brilliant, and I love that platform, and I'm glad we connected that way.
Yeah, me too, man. Like I said, I like just on that app. Like I don't know if I would ever found your show otherwise. Like it's
I know. It's hard. I promote like crazy, but you never know. It takes time, but you get
yeah.
lucky sometime, right? I feel like I was lucky that you found me. It's a big deal for me to be here with you guys.
That's cool. That's cool, man. What did you do first? Did you do rap music first, or were
Well,
you?
yeah, I mean, I'm an artist. I write poetry, artist. But primarily, I'm a businessman. I'm a real estate investor in Brooklyn, New York, and stuff like that. Went to school, went to college, did the whole spiel. Rap was always a passion of mine, art and poetry. And yes, and then, I had my little bouts with addiction, but through the grace of God, I found my sobriety, and then I wanted to give back, and that's when I started the Sober is Dope podcast.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I just feel like you say so many great things in your show. I just feel like as a society, I don't feel like we're wanted to be sober by how many drug commercials are on TV, how many alcohol commercials are out there. Like even back in the day when cigarettes commercials were allowed to be on, like billboards and all that. Like they don't want you to be sober.
Absolutely. I mean, you're fighting corporations, special interests, and everything, and they just don't send a memo. I think there should be a bigger disclaimer and memo that is extreme caution with these things because they advertise alcohol as recreation and fun. But for many people who's born with the addiction and the allergy of being allergic to alcohol, they don't get the memo. They have to find out the hard way, and that's what creates this problem. So it's kind of like a catch-22 on both sides. You want to have fun, but you want to do it responsibly, and that's almost impossible if you're allergic to alcohol, hence alcoholics,
Or
right? So,
if you're young and like you just like I had trouble when I was younger, with drinking and certain things. And then for like 10 years I didn't do anything. And now I'm in my 40s and yeah, I could drink on a Wednesday night, do our show where I can now prioritize and all that. Like you're not ready when you're legally allowed to and you're just,
yeah, yeah.
you're just going too hard and all that.
And the difference is for people who are allergic to alcohol and that's born with that kind of like affliction, I can't have a drink on a casual Wednesday night, even if I'm organized and well put together, because it creates this chemical reaction where I won't be able to stop. And that's the problem. And that's why I started the podcast to just give people hope that have this issue so they know they're not alone. And I'm giving them the memo, like, look, it's okay. If you're allergic to alcohol, it's okay to live a life without drinking or without doing drugs because it's going to be problematic in your life. So it's a clear divide. Some people could handle it and some people can't. And I'm just happen to be one of those people who was never supposed to pick up a drink. And, I'm glad I caught myself when I was still young.
Yeah,
Right?
I never knew that was an allergy that could cause an addiction either.
Yeah, so clinically, alcoholic is someone who has an issue with the dopamine in their brain and their reaction to alcohol. So if they drink, the alcohol replaces dopamine receptors in their brain, which sends a signal that they're having a good time. But when your body goes to use your available dopamine, it's missing because the alcohol kind of replaces the dopamine. It kind of steals it and sits in its place. So what tends to happen is eventually you feel so out of place, you need to drink more because your body is trying to compensate for the missing amounts of dopamine. And that's what the allergy is. That's what the clinical problem is. So the alcohol replaces that actual vital neurotransmitter hormone. And it took me a while to understand that. And as soon as I got the science, I said, I'm done. I'm good. I needed to know that so I know I'm not crazy. I just can't drink. And it was very clear and black and white at that point.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And how do you sum up the Sober is Dope podcast? Like, because I've heard a couple different ones. I heard like some shows you do, like you just play music, and some shows you talk about like how sex is compared to when you were drinking as compared to now being sober. Like you do a lot of different topics, correct?
Right, right. So the Sober is Dope podcast is a podcast that provides tools for recovery. So there is something for everyone. The music is intended to have something that's easy listening. It's a good break. We cover a lot of technical science and stuff. Then we have motivation and addiction science. So it's a place where you could go and kind of get your feel on different ways. You could stimulate your mind. You could have entertainment. You could find motivation, and you could gain a really solid understanding of recovery and how to thrive in recovery. So I like to say we have our Sober is Dope tool belt because we're all like Sober is Dope, like little superheroes, right? We have our tool belt like Batman. And the podcast provides you all your little tools to put into your tool belt. So when you're in trouble, you could go back to it and say, no, I know how to get out of this problem. I learned this.
That's
and
awesome.
I learned this. And many people respond really well because they find refuge there and they find a lot of hope because I give them actionable tools and things they could use on their journey of recovery.
That's amazing. Yeah, like something you could use. And even earlier, like I mentioned the couple different shows I heard, Slim said he heard one where you interviewed somebody. Like, so yeah, you do a lot of different things. And I didn't know that was like the intent of it. And I love that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for doing it, dude. Can you tell us what you have planned for your next show, or is that on the DL?
Yeah. So our next show is cool. It's with a lady that goes by the name of Courtney Anderson, and she's the founder of National Sober Day. So that's really exciting because now it's National Sober Day. It's a holiday, and we're doing this Monday, this up and coming Monday. We're having our National Sober Day virtual event. So we have a bunch of speakers that's coming on, and I'm one of the speakers. So I'm talking to Courtney Anderson, who's the founder of National Sober Day, and she's also the host of Sober Vibes podcast, and so I'm really excited about that. And you know, it took a year to get to a point where I was comfortable with interviewing people, but to date we interviewed about 8 to 9 PhD doctors, people with doctorates, and then we have a lot of real notable scientific people in the community that's helping us break up a lot of the concepts of mental health and recovery. So it's really exciting. You know, this rapper interviewing all of these doctors, and I stand my ground. We go toe to toe. We really have good conversations.
As a rapper, do you get a lot of flack because like you're also sober? Like I don't feel like a lot of rappers are preaching that to the masses.
Yeah, you know, I've been through it. Like, I'm really the real deal. I'm 40, so I'm kind of old. I'm an older rapper. I'm more seasoned, and I'm not like, I don't really compete with the young kids. I'm more classic boom bap lyrical type rap, and I do it for the art and the love. But people are really responsive because my message is you don't have to be creative you don't have to drink or do drugs to find creativity. You don't have to act or get permission from your drug of choice to be creative. With a sobriety, you could be creative all the time, and you could be your best self. And that was one of the reasons why I was drinking so much. I felt like I had to put on this facade. I had to be something that I wasn't, and it was a form of it helped me to be interesting. And I felt like if I let that go, I wouldn't be interested. I wouldn't be able to connect, and it was so far from the truth. So I try to promote sobriety in the hopes to help young kids know if you really want to be successful, I'm giving you the memo. You're most likely going to have to be sober because the guys on top, Eminem, he's sober. Kendrick Lamar, he's sober. J. Cole, he's sober. So there's a clear line between the proficiency of artists that's sober and artists that's not. And believe it or not, Hollywood and everything likes to make you think the bad boy image is cool, but as soon as you get in trouble, they turn on you. So we know you got to have your stuff together in this day and time.
Look at Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, back in the day, he was driving around with guns and coke, and he couldn't get an acting job for 20 years.
Through the mill.
Yes. I love that you brought up.
I always tell people the day Robert Downey Jr. found sobriety, he became Iron Man, right? He would have never been able to have that life-defining role. They was going to give it to someone else, but they wound up giving it to him, and he was so perfect for it. So I tell people, look, he did it, and he became Iron Man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He redefined that character.
Yeah, like now you think about Iron Man, you think about Robert Downey.
Any depiction you see Iron Man it's just Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
That's it.
I love that you brought up J. Cole, Pop, because you as a rapper, you remind me of Jay-Z and J. Cole. Those two guys come to mind when I hear your music.
Well, that's the honor, man. I grew up loving Jay. I definitely have a Jay-Z type voice. We definitely have that Brooklyn thing. And, definitely, thank you. That's good company to be in. I definitely look up. Even Jay-Z, he gives off that vibe. Like, he's really sober-minded, and he always been that way.
Yeah.
You know, you never seen Jay-Z in public drunk or doing anything. And, look, he's a billionaire. He grew up 2 miles away from me, and the guy's a billionaire. He grew up in the same projects that my grandfather had a center. My grandfather had a center where he would give like education services and give people government funding, food and stuff like that, and resources. And I remember those projects in Marcy. And Jay-Z came from there. Now he's one of the richest artists in the world. So see, anything is possible.
That's
right?
what I mean. That speaks volumes when somebody rose from that to now where they are. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing hip hop for?
Hip hop, oh man, like I saw about 20, I would say about 25 to 25 years.
Okay.
25 years, and believe it or not, I had a really good shot to really get on, and my addiction got in the way of it. So it's kind of like the same thing that I love. My addiction messed it up. I kept getting in trouble. You know, when I was a little bit more younger and really was in line to really do it on a mainstream level. Because be honest with you guys, I'm like, at this age, I'm not necessarily trying to be on Hot 97 competing with Little Booby or whoever's out right at the moment. But
yeah,
what I'm doing now is more for the art. I want to put together conceptual projects and to push the art form forward and to give back in that way. And I'm comfortable with that. You know, it's not a paycheck. It's more of a contribution to the art. That's why I still, and I didn't want to give up. And I owe it to myself in my sobriety to still give it a shot and be relevant that way.
Dude, there was like a point too where, like I've mentioned it before on our show, there was a point where you couldn't get a record deal unless you were a real thug type of a guy, like back in the day. You know, like early 2000s, I want to say, like, yeah, they didn't want anybody if you didn't have a rap sheet.
Yeah, it was kind of weird in the industry. It's like they rewarded you for different reasons at the different time. I always felt like it was bigger powers behind it. Because to this day, you never really see what we call conscious artists get to the place where some of these other artists get to, because sometimes people just perceive consciousness and the good guys as being kind of corny. And it's not the case. I always said, though, you have to be more like Jay-Z. Jay-Z he talked about selling drugs and stuff, but he was still conscious, but he did it in a way where it worked, but it's still sad. Like artists like Common Sense, that he's really big. He started acting, but he never got to the place of record sales where Jay-Z would get to. But he spits really good music, and that's how it was. You was kind of penalized for being a good person as a rapper, and rewarded for putting out a negative stereotype. Yeah. And it wasn't a real stereotype. Everyone in our black communities were not gangsters selling drugs and acting a damn fool. It was a small subset. It was like 1% of the whole population would be selling drugs, and everyone else would be going to work and just trying to do the right thing.
Yep.
But they rewarded it. So it was some special interest there too. But that never changed me. I would embellish a lot. You know, I would talk about like that street life, but I never I couldn't get away with saying I was a killer. And the people were like, we know you. You're not. You're a good guy. But,
we know you, Pop. How did you get the name? How did you get the name Pop?
My mom and dad named me Poppy when I was born because I had a lot of energy. I was always bouncing around. I was one of those babies that wouldn't stay still. So they named me Poppy as a nickname, and my real name is Joseph with an E, Joseph. But they named me Poppy, and that stuck. So that was a family name. And while I use it on the podcast, because everyone out there is like my family, and I want to share that part of me with you. Like, you get to know Poppy opposed to Joseph, who's very closed off and corporate, you know?
Oh, that's so cool. So cool. I was going to ask too, Pop, would you be able to spit a verse for us, freestyle or a cappella?
Yeah, I wrote a poem, but I could always spit a verse. Which one do you want? I wrote a poem.
Do them both.
Poem. I was going to say poem. Slim just said both.
All right. Yeah. I wrote a poem called Born Again Me, and this is a metaphor of how I went from my addiction to my recovery. You guys are ready?
Yeah, I'm going to mute the mics, all right?
All right, you got it. All right. Born Again Me, Pop Buchanan. Immature attempts of sobriety, inevitable relapse was painful. I ignored constructive criticism. As an addict, always anal. A binge of 7 and 7. Months at a time I swam. It was hard to listen to family. Before drowning, I just ran. I had to find the will to heal this disorder, both cellular and spiritual, or send my soul to slaughter. Darkness within darkness. Grim have been my dreams of late. I pray my liver is not dead. I pray the Lord my soul to take. I'm in too deep to heal. Let the cup pass me now. If I was born to be a miracle, I guess God couldn't be proud. I can give up and drown forever into void and let the darkness pierce my inner sun for death I can't avoid. I failed this life of promise. Alcohol is my demon. I can join my place in hell, committed suicide by demon. But before the lights went out, I cried to God for rescue. I'm powerless over addiction. I need you, God, for rescue. On my deathbed, I seen light, and then I started to breathe. I am no longer sinking. I am rising out the sea. I prayed to God for strength and traveled on dry land. He held my hand with love. Then never again I ran. Many years later, I conquered every sea. The sober king of dry terrain, that sober I shall be. So thankful for the hope. To God the glory be. I almost died drowning. Now I'm born again complete. The Born Again Me, Pop Buchanan.
Wow. I was gonna say, just hearing you at the beginning, yeah, it must be the hardest thing like to take when you are doing that stuff and family tries to give you advice or steer you a certain way. That's gotta be hard. Gotta be hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. All you can hear at sometimes is the addiction. But you know what? I tell people, be patient, have compassion, don't give up. Remember, alcohol is a disease and a person is struggling. So, they'll snap out of it. The greatest metaphor, I don't know if you guys remember the Lord of the Rings when King Theoden had he was in that spell and Gandalf came and he took the shroud off and he lit up. And he said, you'll remember your own strength with your sword. And then when he started transforming back into a normal, regular king, and he was under this dark spell and he couldn't see anything. That was the metaphor for the addiction. You just needed a certain amount of light, a certain amount of love, and eventually you'll snap out of it if you're lucky, and you could come back to life, man. So I try to always remember that and give people hope. Don't give up on yourself.
Nice.
Pop, I'm curious, what are some signs that you should look for to know that you might be addicted to something?
The number one sign, you needed to go to sleep. You need it as soon as you wake up in the morning. If you're waking up in the morning and you need your drug of choice to feel normal, if you have the shakes and you feel like your nervous system is off and you need to drink just to feel normal, just to communicate, just to come out your room and face people, there's a 90% chance you have a problem with your addiction. That's one of the signs. And also being a recluse. Like if you are antisocial, if you don't know, you can't connect with people without the drug, if you tend to be by yourself, and if you're suffering from some major depression, and the only thing that makes you feel better is the drug, then you're most likely addicted.
Gotcha. What's one of the best places to reach out to?
Oh, guys, you can reach me on Twitter, Instagram at Pop Buchanan. You can reach me at Sober is Dope or at Monk Healing. That's MONKHEALING. I'm on Facebook as Joseph Pop Buchanan. You can Google Sober is Dope. It's hard not to find me. PopBuchanan.net. Once you Google us, I'll come up. So you can find me personally. And look, I reach out to everyone. If you reach out to me, I'm accessible. One of the things that I try to put time aside for people who need. I hate to be one of those inaccessible people that have a platform.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about you, dude. You had a big following, and I reached out to you, and you basically got right back to me.
Yeah, it's important to me. So I never ignore. I mean, I would take a day off if I have to just to catch up with people. So it's really important.
Cool. What was I gonna ask? When you were rapping, have you ever taken a break from it?
From writing?
Yeah, either writing or performing.
Yeah, I took a break when I was like drinking, and I recently started. So I've been back doing music for about 2 years. I'm gonna have my first album done this month. It's my birthday month. I turned 41. I have my first real album done. It's August called Sober is Dope, and the Sober is Dope program, and it's really cool. I tell my story and everything, and yeah, my sobriety gave me my will to create that, and now I'm just like I'm going full steam ahead.
What about the music you did prior? Do you still have it out there? Like the music you did when you were still, drinking?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? You can find some stuff. I went under a different name. It was Lil Cannon, which is Buchanan with his low in the beginning of it because I had a partner named Logan. So I have some stuff on SoundCloud. My music style is really good, man. I mean, I was a good artist. I wasn't consistent, or the addiction took me out of my consistency.
Okay, yeah, but like I said, I don't know. Like with the stuff I've heard, I heard what's the song you did? Can I Live with featuring Ed Ape and I Love My Ancestors, and I love those songs. They were really good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, man. No, that was a project I did. With Ed Ape is one. Shout out to Ed Ape, man. He has a major project out. I have a small team. Shout out to Nudgy Nudge and Ed Ape, and we have like a little team and a lot of talent there. I went to college with all these guys. I went to college with Maroon 5. I shared a dorm with some of the guys from Maroon 5, and I didn't even realize it. It was so crazy. We didn't realize it till later that we used to all hang out. And an artist named Sky Zoo. We all went to college together. Sky Zoo's one of the number one top underground hip hop artists. So it's good to have my crew from college still with me and stuff like that. They inspired me to continue to create after I gave up on myself. These guys came to me and said, "We love you and we want you to still work, and we're here. You have your whole team, and would you come back and work with us?" And I said, yes, I will. So that's what started. Got me back.
That's awesome. And I want to ask too, real quick. We're running out of time, but your beats, I don't know. They pop. They pop to me. Like they're awesome. They're different. They're amazing. Who does your production?
Yo, Nudgy Nudge is my main producer. He does a lot of my production at 8, but the main production is Nudgy Nudge. I work with a few other kids like Scott Freebase and Kendall Miles, and who was the other guy? Scott Freebase, Kendall Miles, but mainly Nudgy Nudge. Anything you hear is pretty much from Nudge, and he's one of my best friends from college, so he was very dedicated with me to continue to work on my craft.
Dude, those beats are fire. They're amazing. It all comes together. Like the lyrics are great, and then you got the beats there and all that. It's really, and even the production, the quality of the videos is amazing as well.
Thank you very much. Shout out to Shotty NYC. He also went to college with us. He's a famous video photographer. He works with Bobby Flay and all these guys, and he humbled himself to work with us to make sure our visuals was of high quality. So thank you, Shotty, for that.
Wow, dude, that is amazing. You sound like you have had a lot of amazing people in your life that you could work with too. That's super cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking to us, Pop.
Yo, guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much. You made my day. Especially my wife. She's a big fan of y'all, and she was like, "Yo, you gonna be on Rob and Slim?" She's like, "Yo," so I'm excited, man. She's excited. And guys, thank you so much for what you do, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. And just off the top, real quick, like I've heard people because I drink during the show, and I've heard people say like, even though you've been drinking, like you still produce a quality product. Like if it ever got to the point where like I couldn't talk or do an interview, like I would have definitely taken that into consideration. But yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah, my last thing is we never want to make anyone feel bad for drinking. The thing is, if you could have a drink and handle it, more power to you. We have a live and let live approach to recovery, and we never want to alienate anyone or in any way make them feel bad. It's unfortunate that I can't drink, but I just can't.
And like I say, I never tell
more
people
power
like
to you.
you gotta like yeah no like it's to all your own, and I've struggled like with like I mentioned earlier like with my own demons in life. So yeah, definitely, and I love what you're doing, Pop. Keep it up, dude.
Thank you so much, and God bless you guys. Take care.
You too,
Have
my
a good one,
friend.
Pop.
We'll talk soon.
All right. Later. Bye.
Later,
All right.
dude.
Peace.